Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
With Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, @agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings.
Threads on minute 13 of its 15 minutes. I'm just kidding. I don't know. And this here, you can.
The hate flow freely.
It will never stop. And you can find this here podcast on the Coastal of the Podcast Network.cspn.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts.
Although I should probably get used to not saying Google Play, Google Play anymore, because now that I think about it, I think they took their podcast section away, like they do half of the other things they do.
Right.
So yeah, well, that'll. Anyway, yeah, folks, we record every Thursday. Well, mostly every Thursday night. We're actually on the right day and time.
Not next week.
Yeah, not next week, but we'll get to that later on in the show. But when we do record, it is usually 9:30 or, well, tonight that doesn't even bear out properly. But usually we try to go for 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/the Kliq Nation, and at twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you know when we are on live and direct, especially for times like this when, you know, life and the gremlins pop up.
Yeah, something like that. And folks, as we, you know what? I knew I forgot. I was going to start out a whole different way, but I guess I can save that for the end if I remember, and I probably won't. But we're going to kick this thing off with a little talk about this week's shows. Starting off with The Bad Batch episode, season 3, episode 14, called wow, I totally missed them up. Called Flash Strike.
Right.
Because in my notes I have the episode name for The Bad Batch under X-Men 97 and vice versa.
Oh no.
So that's funny.
That's funny.
So yeah, Bad Batch this week. We're running headlong into the last episode of the week. It was not what I thought to be the 2-episode ending that I thought was going to happen, which is probably for a good reason.
Right.
And as Agent 70 said before the show, and I concur with from what seems to be the case, seems as though the next episode, which is going to be the very last episode of the series, is probably going to be a lengthy one.
Right. Right.
It should be.
If not just longer than a normal episode.
I would hope, because if they try to put close that out, I can't imagine what kind of closure that's going to be if they try to put it into a regular episode, because there's still some things in there that probably need to be addressed, or at least as far as the fans are concerned, probably need to be addressed. Like, they may think otherwise. Right. So, but yeah, the rest of the batch are continuing with their plan to go find and rescue Omega, who has plans of her own again to escape.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't hurt that Omega has her own urge to get out, because she's on the inside and she's got her own cohort to work with and protect.
Right.
So, and what's interesting is that there's some I guess elements of this show that I always forget when I'm watching it, like, oh wait, Echo is with them, and Echo has found his way inside. That slipped my mind in between episodes.
Yeah.
So when I saw what was happening, I was like, oh, that's Echo, because he's got the thing on his hand, which he conveniently finds a way to cover.
Right, the USB port. Yeah.
Right. So, the droid interface, right?
Right.
And I appreciated that as a way of just kind of like a quick reminder, like, oh, Echo's got his own aspect of this plan working, because he's separate from Hunter and the other two,
Right.
Wrecker and Crosshair.
Right.
And very quickly, the one thing I wanted to mention is that if I know that Filoni does one thing when he's writing a story, is that he will find a way to tie in the big beasts that he reveals at some point during the story.
Yes.
Back in at some point, and there are elements of that being the very case in the last episode. Because here in the penultimate episode, we definitely got like the teaser of that.
Which admittedly I totally forgot about, but as you say, Filoni will find a way to bring that Joker back into place some kind of one way. Because I forgot the thing showed up
Yep.
in a earlier episode and probably an earlier season. But I'm like, wow, we're still going back to this, huh?
Listen, but like, when it comes to like the Mandalorian and stuff like that, like anytime they show a beast, they always bring it back somehow.
Oh yeah,
right? Especially a big one. If they reveal it, or if they make reference to it during the season, they will in fact, bring it back towards the end.
Right. And folks, spoiler not spoiler, you won't be surprised. Well, you should and you shouldn't be surprised at what we're talking about with that.
Exactly. When you see, you're like, oh, okay, I remember this.
Right. Yeah. So, and of course, it's very much more than likely that's going to play a part in the last episode.
More than likely.
So, which, hey, there's no Jedis around, so I don't think we got anything to worry about there. That being the case, I guess we can push on to X-Men 97, which is season 1, episode 7, called Turn Around. No, I'm just kidding. It's called Bright Eyes.
Oh my God. Just for like a half second, I was like, what is he referring? Oh, like 2 seconds of confusion and bewilderment, followed by that instant recognition.
Yep, the light bulb went off.
Reference, right? That instant recognition of pop culture reference, which is like, oh, that's what he means.
Mm-hmm. But of course, the episode title is named for a reference one of the characters make in the original series to another character who also shows up in this particular episode. A future-facing character, let's just say.
Right. And in our pre-production meeting, Roddykat and I were discussing. We're discussing this simply because I couldn't remember what happened during this episode. I watched it relatively timely, and a lot has happened between yesterday and today.
Right, and
so I would just add that the one thing I brought up, and the one character that's introduced to the series in this episode, is a character from like the latter half of the 90s, which obviously tracks with what the timeline of this episode of the show is that it's tracking into the mid 90s and taking concepts that are fresh from the storylines of the mid 90s and late 90s. So I distinctly remember this character being introduced in my X-Men comics and the storylines that came out of it. So I'll hand it off to Roddykat with that.
So, and on that note, it is definitely a form of a character, or a kind of a side of a form of a character who actually is running around in the X-Men comics right now prominently. Right. So funnily enough, that happens. But also, according to ex-showrunner Bo DeMayo, this character who we're speaking of has pretty much been here the whole time, with the exception of, or been seen has been popping up in every episode with the exception of one. So
Oh, really?
yes, and I only remember one time seeing them because it was pointed out, in a video. But yeah, so that is a thing. And like I said, and matter of fact, speaking of, Bo DeMayo also says, and this is probably a spoiler, but not really a spoiler. I think he has a tweet out there that says, just says, sets the table. Now get ready for 8, 9, and 10. So, or yes, he said this table is set, and now get ready for 8, 9, and 10. So yeah, and I think he also kind of confirmed a couple of deaths from that one episode. So, in his tweets, because obviously the man's was there for us, so he knows what the deal was. So, yeah, some interesting stuff. And now I'm kind of like, wait, so what's going to happen 8, 9, and 10? What is he setting us up for? I mean, we kind of have an idea, obviously, and then, weirdly enough, it probably also not probably coincidentally lines up with some current comic book stuff in a way. So we'll see how that works out by the end of the season. And as Agent 70 said before the show, there is a good likelihood that whatever happens is probably going to continue on into the next season that we know they're going to get.
Yeah.
For the show. So yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. But it was still a pretty good episode. I was expecting there was one thing I was expecting, knowing what little of it that I had seen prior to to happen, but I guess not that wasn't the case. But let's just say, hey, Rogue works out some things. So they come back to that.
So interestingly enough, and I guess this is kind of a sidebar, but I'm literally scrolling through like the cover gallery on Marvel Unlimited for Uncanny to just kind of refresh my own memory, because this is something, and folks, it's a tool. It's not a sponsor. We're not pushing it on.
How do you know why we continue to have to say that, or why do we continue to say that?
It's a tool. They're not a sponsor, but the fun thing about being able to do this, and obviously I could do this by Google and look through like a cover gallery, but this is obviously it's a lot easier. It refreshes my memory as to when actually all this stuff was being published, right? And thinking of we were just talking about, oh wait, this is mid-90s. Wait a second, this is actually earlier than that. And I'm like, wow, this is it's kind of wild to just see how how faulty our memories can be when it comes to like when stuff happened, and in terms of publishing and like arcs, as like story arcs being told and art runs being done and whatnot. And it's not something that you see until you flip through your long boxes, but even then you don't always have an idea of when this stuff was published. So I think the dates are actually pretty useful just to see when this stuff was actually out. So, when I look at, this character coming out, I'm like, wait a second, this character, is this, the right era, or are we like diving in a lot later than what I think it is?
Right.
I'm like, wait a second, when was this character introduced, or was it in the pages of the main of the adjectiveless X-Men book and not Uncanny? That's always awesome. But anyway, I'm sorry for the side, for the tangent here, but I was just looking at this like, wait, I kind of remember this and I kind of don't.
Right.
Like when that character popped, it must have been not in the Uncanny pages, but in the adjectiveless pages.
I was just gonna say, I feel like not a lot of stuff, but there's a couple of key stuff that they've been kind of referencing in the show has come from Uncanny, but definitely has been pulling from the other books. So possibly it's probably the case. So really quick in closing, we get a little bit more on Roberto and Jubilee. We get a cameo by not just one, but two other Marvel characters that may have, well, one that definitely has had some shine in the MCU, and one that is going to be in the MCU fairly soon.
Right.
So one and the part that kind of had Agent 70's a little miffed about, so that you can draw if you know enough of about this show and what we gravitate towards, you kind of can catch the picture of that. Although it also probably showed up in a promo or something. So, but yeah, there is that. So that was X-Men 97 for this week. And now we are going to get into the books of the week. Starting off with Avengers number 13.
Meanwhile, the Hall of Justice.
Avengers number 13 is written by Jed MacKay with art by Francesco Mortarino, colors by Federico Blee, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So I got a kick out of the little twist that Jed MacKay put into this book, very much along the same lines of what the X-Men did with Firestar.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's a nice little parallel. And I like that they snuck this character in for that express purpose, because both Roddykat and I were like, huh? This happened with this character when and why? And okay, right. That was kind of our reaction to it. If I, I'm not putting words in Roddykat's mouth, but I can let him chime in. But at the end of the day, what we got here was the wrap to the Avengers involvement with the fight against Orcus, and believe it or not, we're jumping right into the next event at the end of this. So I'll hand it off to Roddykat with that.
That was the funniest part about this whole thing, because like, and Agent 70 did say it in the show, like, yeah, it's interesting how seamless that the Avengers are going from one event to the other, because we're seeing them at the tail end of Fall of X, playing a part, and now they're going into Blood Hunt, which of course is being written by Jed MacKay. So that for what it is. But yeah, this is a pretty good issue. We get to see them. Well, the fight pretty much was coming to them, but as Agent 70 said, we do see a little something that was behind it. I was like, okay. And on that, I was kind of like, yeah, all right. We just saw this, as Agent 70 said. So part of that, I was like was kind of like, all right. But it was still done fairly well, so can't be too mad about it. So, and I guess it's something you wouldn't expect him to do twice. So,
right.
But there is that. There was one little part with T'Challa and Sam at the end. That was kind of funny, that you might see on CB Caps. That was kind of amusing, because apparently they still got not a little thing between them, but it was a little something that came up that was kind of funny. But yeah, that was Avengers number 13, and the next book we're going to go into is excuse me, Rise of the Powers of X number 4 of 5.
So Rise of the Powers of X number 4 is written by Kieron Gillen with art by R.B. Silva, colors by David Curiel, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. I think my criticism, as light and as kind of bare as it is, still stands. I wish this book had come out last week, because it would have assisted my reading with other books. But ultimately, the publishing schedule is what it is, and we're left to kind of piece together what's happening, which, I understand there are people who like to read things all at once in trade form. So, they don't have to deal with this with the week to week or month to month publishing schedule and the way things can sometimes get disjointed. I get that once in a while. This is probably one of those times when I agree with those folks. But ultimately, we start to see multiple aspects of the X-Men's counterstrike against Orcus and the AI, forming here. Some people get screwed. Some people understand they're getting screwed, and it's kind of an interesting play on how these characters interact with each other. And I'll hand it to Roddykat.
Right. Yeah. Going off of what Agent 70 said, usually if they're playing their cards right and scheduling goes off the way, or the scheduling of the book goes off the way they should in a situation like this, it shouldn't be that big of a problem because everything is going in order, in the order that they're going in, and making some sort of sense as they do, as we have seen with with this and a couple of other events recently. That's not always the case, as Agent just said. Like, and sometimes even the case, when they do have stuff in order, as we have said last week and this week, some things just don't seem to line up like you think they should, or that makes any kind of sense in ways. So I can understand Agent 70's apprehension about this. And
it's a mild frustration at best.
Right. And I still hadn't read Dead X-Men, actually, so I still need to go back and read that. But that being said, yeah, Rise, hey, like I said, we're still steadily going into this. As the book itself says, fall is now over. It is now spring, and we are getting into that between this and the next couple of issues and everything that is coming around it. We can definitely see seeds of something that's going to be apparent when X-Men relaunches,
right?
Or the X-Men line relaunches because of something that happens in this issue. God damn it! I just saw something I totally forgot to read. Doggone it! Sorry, folks. Floating through covers, trying to get stuff straight, and
it's okay.
It happened, but hey, life happened. Anyway, just to close this out, like, so something else I was gonna say about Rise, but I don't remember what it is, and do I have it in my notes? So yeah, we get the pieces coming together. We have Xavier doing whatever the heck Xavier's doing. I think Agent 70 called it Plan F or Z.
Plan Z, right? Yeah. Because it involves lots of double and triple crossing, and it's kind of it's always like I did it for you. It's one of those types of stories,
right? Which I'm still not convinced. There's part of it I'm still not convinced about, but at the same time, like I said last week, it was like, yeah, there's got to be something else going on with this as to why this is going on. But Xavier's kind of been strange for a long time, and not Steven. Anywho's, next up, we are going to talk about the G.O.D.S, Gods, number 7 of, I believe, 8.
Right. So Gods number 7 is written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Valerio Schiti, colors by Marte Gracia, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So we finally get some backstory on one of the new characters that has been introduced in this book as Dimitri, and it's very interesting. It's very sad, but it is very much well rendered by Valerio Schiti's art. And Hickman's story, while it's a little bit convoluted, it's nice that we get some backstory on some of these characters and see how everything ties together with the In-Betweener and with Doctor Strange. And if there's one diagram that I truly appreciate in all of Hickman's books, there is one diagram that describes the various axes that create life, like the 4 dimensions of life, basically. I appreciated that diagram. I don't know if you have the same feeling about that, Roddykat.
Oh no, I totally agree. So, yeah, out of a lot of the issues in this book, or in this particular volume of book, this is probably the issue that's the most straightforward.
Right.
Because of the story it tells, like you just having to say, we get some backstory on Dimitri, and therefore informs what happens in the rest of the issue to the conclusion of the issue. So the rest of this, you can't say that about the 6 other issues before this.
It's true enough.
And surprisingly light on dialogue. I mean, not for a Hickman, for a Hickman book, because you expected a few extra pages of dialogue per pound, but it's light for a Hickman book. I'll say that. But yeah, like I said, this one, if you were curious about that character, hey, here you go. There's something cut and dry on that one. Without going into what actually happens. And with that, let me see. We got one more book to talk about between us, and that book is excuse me. I have to find a better way to do this. Well, Ultimate Spider-Man #4.
Ultimate Spider-Man #4 is written by Jonathan Hickman with art by David Messina, colors by Matthew Wilson, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. I want to double check that credit there. Oh, why that's did I put a typo in there?
Art David Messina, color artist Matthew Wilson, letters VC's Corey Petit.
Right, is it?
Yeah.
Is that why the art looked a little funky to me? Because I was because you know what it is? It's a guest artist. That's why. Yeah, it is David Messina. It's a guest artist. I'm like, that's not Kaketo. When I was reading it, because I was speed reading tonight, folks. I definitely was trying to get my usual 6 books in, and I was looking at it like there's something off about this. Obviously, it's different from what this book has seen so far. So I was like, wait, this isn't Kaketo, but I don't know who it is. So that's why I paused just for a second. But getting back to this book, this is an interesting interaction between. It mainly focuses on an interaction between this universe's Peter and Mary Jane, and this universe's, and notice the stress that I clarification that I put on that. This universe's Harry Osborn, and spoiler alert, this universe's Gwendolyn Stacy. So that is the focus on this book of this issue. We do get some other storylines being moved forward, namely what's going on with Ben Parker and J. Jonah Jameson. But the focus of this issue is really the interactions between those the first 4 aforementioned characters. So we don't get much fisticuffs, but we definitely get some action in this book. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
I mean, once again, in true Hickman fashion, sometimes you get the action, sometimes you get a book full of exposition, or in this case, conversation.
Right.
So, but yeah, we are introduced to this universe's Gwen Stacy, who arguably is fairly different from any of the ones we've seen so far.
Right. And she's in on a little secret.
Yes, and on that I was going to get to that actually. Harry pretty much talks to Peter, knowing who Peter is, about his insistence on keeping his Peter's secret from his loved ones. But also channels Uncle Ben in a way that I love when 8-70 was reading and mentioned it, because I pretty much had the same the same reaction when I saw it. I'm like, huh, okay, that should not have happened.
Right, that was different.
Right. But as we have seen with this book, that like they're definitely doing different things in this new universe, and I wish the new universe would come back, but that's not gonna happen. So yeah, as 8-70 said, Ben and JJJ get a name for their new venture, and also I guess in a way it kind of plays into the conversations between the 2 couples that were aforementioned because of some dealings with a couple of people involved in those couplings, which is seems going to be a thing going forward, interestingly enough. And I guess the other point to making this, Peter and MJ's daughter May does not like J. Jonah Jameson. That in itself was kind of funny to me, funny enough to point out. She's
and what's
go ahead.
Good. I was just gonna say what's great about Peter and MJ's kids is that they're both pretty cool. They're both like cool in their own ways.
But that's what I was gonna say, right? And they have no no hesitation speaking their minds. so I guess you could say they raised them right. I guess But yeah, the Ultimate Spider-Man continues to be a pretty good book, a pretty good read. So with that, folks, we have finished all of the books that we have in common, and now we're going to go into rapid fire.
All right, folks, here we go. Rapid fire review time.
Ain't got time to bleed.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
Wait. Before you start, there was something I forgot to mention. A couple of things I forgot to mention. One, I think you might have saw, if you're watching the video version, you may have seen a couple of them, but there were Micronauts variants for various books, such as Avengers and a couple of others that I probably did put out there. And there was actually something about X-Men 97, which I was going to tie into something Agent 70 said, and I definitely don't remember that now. So take it away, Agent 70.
All right. I just have two books to do with rapid fire reviews. Well, the first is Amazing Spider-Man number 48. It's written by Zeb Wells with art by Todd Nauck, colors by Sonia Obach, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So what I'll say in this quickie rapid fire review is that it's good to be done with this Chasm and Hallows Eve interlude, but I can see what Zeb Wells is doing by weaving them back into the story for this short spell and in the lead up to the big anniversary issue. That's really where this is all going. That's really what this is a lead up to. I can see what the setup is. I can see it a mile away. Let's see if my hunch is correct. And I'll leave it at that. Next up for me and last is Daredevil number 8. It's written by the main story is written by Saladin Ahmed with art by Aaron Kuder, colors by Jesus Bertov, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. Now, the reason why I said main story is that unbeknownst to me, and I should be more aware of these things as they happen, but life happens and we read a lot of comics. So it's so hard to remember some of these things. But this is an oversized anniversary issue celebrating 60 years without fear. So the legacy numbering on this book is 670. And the main story is, basically develops both Daredevils, both Elektra in her Daredevil Woman Without Fear guise and Matt Murdock. So, we're moving that story along. The secondary stories, not backup stories, but the secondary stories move a few other stories along, including where that upcoming Elektra Daredevil story is going to go. The cool thing that they do with these anniversary issues is when they go through a cover gallery. I was just talking about Marvel Unlimited being very useful when when you can scroll through covers and see when stuff was published. The cover gallery is cool because you get to see kind of what they counted in order to get to 670. And so they included some of the limited series. So it's kind of cool that, they folded the limited series in to get in to the number. And I was like, oh, wait, I remember reading these. I remember collecting these. And it's actually pretty cool to kind of go through and do that little walk down memory lane, as it were, and see how, yes, there have been 670 issues of Daredevil, give or take, but and being alive to see a lot of them and to collect a lot of them and to read through a lot of them, when they were first run, and to see where the character has gone in the years that I've been collecting, it's still pretty cool. And that's it for me.
Alrighty then. To start off my books, we go to a little 3-lettered company called IDW. Yeah. There we go. Boom. Dungeons and Dragons Saturday Morning Adventures number 4 of 4, written by David M. Boer, art by George Cambadius, letters by Ed Dukeshire, and colors by John Paul Bove. So yeah, this is the last issue of this book. Their whole quest during this whole thing was that, hey, Dungeon Master, for some strange reason, is sick, ailing, or whatever the case may be, and they went looking for a magic healing staff, which they now have. And what we find out in this issue, and if you're watching the video version, it won't be no surprise. And if you are a fan of the 80s cartoon that this is based off of, the Dungeons and Dragons, you will be not surprised about who was involved in why Dungeon Master wasn't feeling so well. So yeah, but basically this book wraps up with as an episode of the show would normally do, in a fight and a choice. At that we find out at the end of this, because if you know anything about the show, hey, it's like 6 teenagers go to an amusement park. They go on a ride, and they end up in Dungeons and Dragons, the land of Dungeons and Dragons, specifically the Forgotten Realms. And there they have been this whole time, always trying to find a way home. And let's just say that did not change in the ending of this issue. So yeah. Next up, and I will get to comments in a minute. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures continued, number 12. Story by Eric Burnham, art by Sarah Meyer, letters by Ed Dukeshire, colors by Luis Antonio Delgado. If you're wondering why I'm saying the colors last, hey, that is the order that the credits have them. Don't blame me. Mr. Og is back for revenge. After being thwarted by the Turtles a few issues ago, which leads them to basically, as we have talked about before, a whole multiversal turtle shindig at the end of this issue, that we knew was coming. So yeah. Also, there was a bad Hulk pun and more fourth wall breaking than you can shake a stick at. And Piranhaconda Gator. Say that 5 times fast.
Okay.
Also, as I say in my notes, there was something a part of Dungeons and Dragons that I didn't see in the Dungeons and Dragon books. So in the book that I read prior to this. So that was something. I'll leave it to you to find out what that is. Next up, Duke, number 5 of 5, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Tom Riley, colors by Jordi Belair, and letters by Russ Wooten. So yeah, this is the last issue of Duke's miniseries. He was on a feverish hunt because of having a run-in with a certain set of certain Cybertronian in another book, which led him on this merry chase and being hunted by his own people because of that. Well, guess what, folks? Duke has a run-in with a badass toy, while its chrome-domed maker sits and watches him, and that chrome-domed maker actually makes an appearance in this issue. And also gives Duke a nice little proposition. But, you know, you may or may not think you know how that goes. There was something that was thought that wasn't the case, but it all leads into the formation of, and I quote, a highly trained special mission force that comes out of this. And you will not be surprised at who their targets, if you listen to anything that I just said, is going to be when that book finally shows itself, which I believe is June? Is it next month? June? I can't remember, but I know it's soon. Because I know Cobra Commander's also ending with its next issue. This is ending. Destro and Scarlet's mini issues probably is going to come after the G.I. Joe book starts. So yeah, but the fact that I saw the words "highly trained special mission force" in and as well as in a couple other references to the original series in this did my heart pretty good. And apparently this book kind of takes place a couple of months after, I want to say issue 5 or 6 of Transformers by what they were referencing here. So you take that for what it is. Green Arrow number 11 of 12 is my next book. Written by Joshua Williamson, art by Sean Isaacs, and Sean Isaacs, Phil Hester, and Eric Gapster. Colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr. and letters by Troy Pateri. If you ever wondered what issues or with whom the Green Arrow would have been working out during that whole Sanctuary thing, well, you get to kind of find out here. But we also get a little backstory, a little history between Oliver and one Malcolm Merlin, whom, if you watched the Arrowverse show, some of which might be a little bit familiar for you, because they do definitely touch on things that was there that I don't know if it was actually in the comic version before that, or that was just another Green Arrow retcon after the fact, after that show came out. I'm going to lean probably after the fact. But nevertheless, it leads into the showdown between Merlin and Oliver, whom Merlin may have found Green Arrow's weakness. We shall see. Or at least that's something was suggested at the end of this book. Definitely. About what happens. Next up, Blade number 10. There we go. Which is the last issue of this book. There's a few of those this week, apparently. Written by Brian Hill, a former guest of the show. Art by Elena Casagrande, color artist KJ Diaz, letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So this was all leading up to the fight with the Adana, whom Blade himself led out, and has been, on a dogged pace to put back in the bottle, which all led up to this, and his friends did not want to be on the sidelines, so there you go. It was the last fight for this last issue, which, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I feel like it could have been a little bit more to this issue, but, it all ends, all's well that ends well, I suppose, but at the same time, as I was saying to Agent 70 before the show, I was expecting a lead into Blood Hunt, of which, Blade is kind of front and center for when that happens very soon, but not so much. So unless it's something I didn't see, but no, doesn't seem to be the case. Next up, Night Thrasher number 3, written by Jay Haltham. Arts by Nelson Daniel, I guess. Color artist Matt Miller, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So after the events of last issue, Arlem's a powder keg, because, Dwayne did a bad by what happened then, dealing with a former teammate of his. So what does he do? He runs tail and takes his ball and go home. But not without his, I guess, former lover / teammate's silhouette has anything to do with it, about it. And of course, if you're watching the video version, you can kind of see something that kind of happens in the course of the issue, which leads into the next issue and trying to figure out where to go from here as things heat up. Let's see. My last book is Dawn Runner number 2 of 5, of which I'll talk about a couple of other books I didn't have a chance to get to after this, but scripted by Ram V, colors by Dave Stewart. Wait, sure. And letters by Aditya Bidikar. I feel like I'm missing a name here. Because I was rushing to put put that stuff in. Already doing a really quick check here. I feel like I'm missing a name. Yeah, art by Evan Cagle. That's who I'm missing. Don't wanna leave that out. But yeah, so if you weren't here the last time we talked about it, Dawn Runner is the story of a world where there's some aliens kind of came through that humans was on the losing end of battling until they figured out a way to wall them off and use their own tech to fight against them, which gives them now giant mechs. So you know how I feel about giant mechs, or if you know about how I feel about giant mechs, you know I'm all into it. In this particular case, we have a prototype, what they call an Iron Giant, with which this, which the operator Anita Marr, who is the protagonist of this book, who is a, I guess is one of the, which is the best one of these Iron Giant runners or whatever to call them, has the privilege or whatever to prototype or to test run during a fight with these with the enemy. They call it the Tetsa, which they do on national TV, well, or indoor, on not national TV, but all around the world TV, because it's humans against, whatever. So there's that. But in the midst of her first fight, some things happen, to which we find out a little bit more about in this particular issue, and we also find out a little bit more about this particular prototype Iron Giant that was not we were not aware of. That leads Anita to do some searching of her own and going from there. And that, folks, but yeah, it's been a pretty decent read so far. I'm very curious as to where this goes. And yeah, I've been enjoying it so far. That is it for myself. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
So while 8-7 is thinking, I'm assuming he may already have this. I'm just going to read off a couple of comments in the chat. Shout out to our boy Arban Von Gloom, who's in the chat. Is Matt Murdock still a priest? He asks.
Yes.
Okay. Feels like him and Kurt Wagner are always in conflict over if they love the lords or women more, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that definitely comes up. That comes up in this issue.
Yeah. Looks like the kids are there for a while because they are older in the Honor Amongst Thieves movie. Oh, right. Yeah. I still haven't watched that movie, but I know they show up. The Dungeons, he's talking about the Dungeons and Dragons kid who do make a cameo in that Dungeons and Dragons movie. Von Gloom also says Destro never not looks fly in comics or other movies, other media. That also checks out. He's full Destro in this one. As Cat Williams tells us, never accept offers from any billionaires. Unfortunately, Duke followed his lead. That could be considered a spoiler, but not really. So, but this is also Duke. Come on, if you know the character, you already know. Phil Hester, haven't heard that name in a minute. So, and I don't think we have either. None of the thing about it. I'm pretty sure it's popped up.
He's been working.
Yeah,
he's been working. It's not something. It's not not on books that I talk about a lot, but I know that I'm either his name.
Right. So, but 8-7, what you got for picks?
My candidates this week, I really did like Avengers number 13. It was a nice little capper to the Avengers involvement with the whole Orcus business, and the fall of the fall of X storyline. I actually liked what they did with G.O.D.S, what Hickman did with G.O.D.S this week. I thought that was a pretty effective story. And interestingly enough, Hickman's other book this week, Ultimate Spider-Man number 4, was a very, very engaging read because Roddykat got to see me react to it in real time.
Yes.
So it's always funny when we're in our pre-show meeting and I'm still trying to cram a book in to make my normal weekly quota. So, you know, that I actually enjoyed reading that a lot. But I think overall, just for, you know, bang for the buck and, you know, just level of enjoyment, I think I'll go with Avengers number 13, just because it was a lot of fun this week. You know, shout out to Daredevil, because there was a lot to that anniversary issue. There was, you know, I read everything and it was all really good. But it just felt like, you know, it just continued the story, didn't really like cap anything off. It was like an anniversary issue just because, you know, it happened to be hit a certain number or in a certain year, but it wasn't like a capper to a story. So I think that I'm going to go with Avengers number 13.
I love how Age of 70 keeps mentioning Cap as a capper, which actually that reminds me of what I was going to say about X-Men 97. That's slightly related, but slightly not. There was a nice little Avengers reference to a certain annual when a certain cameo came, or before we see that a certain cameo. I still have that book. And actually, going back to what Age of 70 said about stacks of books, I wish I had taken some pictures, because I had to pull out those some of the stuff in my garage, and I looked up a couple of the books that I still had that luckily have bags on them.
Right.
Some interesting stuff. So I have to show you some of that later when I get some pictures.
Nice.
But anyway, Von Gloom says 3D Man got a shine. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yes.
Surprisingly enough.
Yeah, all surprised by it, to be honest. I really
Yes.
liked what McKay did with that.
Yeah. Indeed. For myself, Duke number 5 is definitely a candidate there. It's funny because you could pretty much see Duke pretty much say, I could do this all day. In fact, I think he kind of does in a way, but not really, especially when he's fighting a bat. But you know, that was kind of amusing. Ultimate Spider-Man, that is definitely another one. You know, continues to be a pretty good book. I will say real quick that I didn't get a chance to read Star Trek Defiant that came out this week, nor that the Dick Tracy book that came out this week, even though I went and pulled it for to check out. But you know, things happen. Otherwise, that would have been one of those would have probably been a potential candidate. But I think I'm going to go with and it's actually kind of hard because out of those two books, like, yeah, there are things about both of those books that have kind of impressed upon me, the word I'm trying to say. I've always been a Flint man as a kid, but this book made me a Duke fan. You know, those of us who are, I know you're a little younger than us, Von Gloom, so I kind of get that, because you came along when Flint was getting a lot more shine on the show, and right. Duke was kind of away from. So I guess I get that. You know, I guess if we're going back to the show stuff, Duke's feather kind of gets taken off by the fact that you realize that Falcon is his half brother, which shouldn't have anything to do with Duke, but it does, especially from the movie. But yeah, I think, so I do really want to try to, we need to kind of push this along. I'm just going to go ahead and give it to Duke 5 of 5. Ultimate Spider-Man definitely was a great book this week, and interesting for what it sets up going forward. And with that, we are going to go into the news section, but first, let's get an ad read.
All right, our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron. Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. Place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you. go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. Now we'll get into the news.
Some sad news if you're of a certain vintage. Terry Carter from Battlestar Galactica and McCloud, I believe he was Colonel Ty, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. That's true. And from the original Battlestar Galactica, not BSG, has passed away on this past Tuesday in his home in New York City. His son confirmed the news to the New York Times. He was 95 years old. So, she's as Agent 70 will probably shout out. He's a native of Brooklyn.
There it
is. Yeah, and this article goes into his esteemed career. Apparently he was credited with becoming New England's first Black TV anchor newscaster. So I did not know that. So that's interesting. So, I guess before he got into acting, no, actually he was. Okay, no, so he started off as an actor, then into the movies, then I guess he ended up on Battlestar Galactica some years after that. So that's interesting. Okay. But yeah, rest in peace. I assume it was natural causes. The man was 95 years old. So, private family memorial has been planned according to his website. So there you go. Rest in peace, good sir. Next up.
Alrighty. Next up. So Captain America Brave New World is going to bring a bigger enemy to the forefront. So in talking to Entertainment Weekly, Anthony Mackie mentioned this in an interview after their big CinemaCon panel. So let's see here. I gotta open the article. Right, basically, teasing a bigger enemy. It's something that has been building slowly since Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, She-Hulk, and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, that's the thing. Von Gloom says Brooklyn stand up, of course.
Yes.
95 years old. He lived a long life, and he goes back and says, hopefully there's no ultimate Paul and never will be. I am in agreement with you on that. I think Agent 70 probably is too. Also, he said Ultimate Spider-Man kind of scared him because he was expecting Pete's life to be severely ruined like 616's Peter. And as I said to him in the chat, hey, the story's just getting started.
Yeah, we're 4 issues in.
So
can we give Pete a couple of wins before we start taking stuff away?
So I suspect the Parker look is going to follow him into the Ultimate Universe. But back to the news. She-Hulk star Tatiana Maslany was, quote, so heated up when she called Disney CEO Bob Iger, quote, out of touch during the strike. It's hard to articulate yourself on the picket line. I don't know. I think he probably was on the money on that one. Who knows? But yeah, okay. Yeah. So, this is, I guess they were talking to her for something. And I guess, and since Bob Iger has been kind of in the news, it's kind of a thing. So Von Gloom says, I'm rooting for Ultimate Pete. Yeah, we all are, but the mainstream writers traumatize them. Yeah, I get that, especially the way Zeb Wells is writing them now. Boom, boom. Anyway, next up.
Oh my God. Why? Why? So let's see here. Spider-Man swings to an impressive box office haul for re-releases. Crowd reaction to the final swing goes viral. Really? So I guess they re-released the Spider-Man movie, first Spider-Man movie, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and since 2000. And Let's see here. Yeah, so the movie racked up an impressive $680,000 in 466 U.S. theaters on its opening day. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I think they re-released it to the theaters, and people went out, and of course, sure.
Okay.
Next up, boom. X-Men producer explains that cameo by the Watcher, spoiler alert, and what it means for the rest of season 1. This is a spoiler for episode 5 if you haven't watched that yet. So if you hadn't, sorry, but it's been a couple of weeks. To which I still meaning to go back and actually see that, because every time I've seen it referenced,
missed it the first time.
Right, so did I. So I was like, wait, I need to go back and actually see that. But I've been seeing it referenced since then. So yeah. The Watcher's cameo in X-Men 97 is significant for long-term fans, according to this. And per supervising producer Jake Castorena, the character's appearance may not be about looking out for the X-Men, but witnessing events crucial to the storyline and timeline in the Marvel Universe. That is his job, after all. That last part was me editorializing. And yeah, the rest of it just goes into a screen rant thing, which I won't go into. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to call out the fact that that was a thing, and sure, it potentially means a couple of different things in the grander stream of things, because of we know What If, and we know the MCU, and we know they may or may not be trying to how deeply they're trying to tie the X-Men into that, or this particular version of the X-Men, outside of what they've already set up into the larger MCU. Anyway, next up.
All right. X-Men 97's Beau DeMayo talks about Spider-Man's entrance into the X-Men 97 series. Okay. He's back on Twitter and took a second to respond to fans who were asking about Peter Parker's status in season 1. So, we just got a cameo from another non-X-Men Marvel character in this week's episode. So DeMayo's just said fans will just have to wait for any future Spidey appearances.
Right. And of course, because of that cameo from this week, the people have speculated about a certain event that could come out of it that might be referenced later on, whether here or in the MCU at large. We'll see. And of course, people are still calling for Spider-Man the Animated Series to also get a reboot, or which I would be up for. Next up, I should let you take this one, but I won't. Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman unite to save a world. Agent 70, did you watch the second trailer?
I watched it without the sound just to see what they did.
Yes,
I was at work. Obviously I could have just shut the door to my office and watched it with the sound on, but I just wanted to see what they showed.
Yeah. I mean, it was a decent enough trailer. We see who's presumably going to be the big bad, which weirdly enough also could tie into X-Men 97, or at least something that was shown in X-Men 97 that was also shown in the comic books that was referenced, that character was involved in. And yeah, some other stuff. So there was also a reference apparently to a certain creator of Deadpool, well, the creator of Deadpool, I guess you could say, in the background of one of the shots, and that creator, of course, quote unquote, approved of it. Like, wait, they were probably still going to do it whether you approved of it or not. But I thought it was pretty good, because it is a long thought thing of this creator's inability to draw a certain body part that it had to do with. So Wonder World Wade make a Sunny O'Connor joke, probably 99.9%, because he just can't help himself. Right. But yeah, I am slightly thinking I'm probably going to watch Deadpool 2 and at some point watch this. And I can't believe I'm saying that to myself, but yeah.
Yeah, all right.
So anyway, next up.
So believe it or not, folks.
I'm
Believe
walking
it
on
or
air.
not. You know, more like Ripley's Believe It or Not Greatest American Hero, right?
Sure.
So Deadpool and Wolverine is still a few months out, but believe it or not, the Elektra movie is hit, or it's about to. Oh no, it's already on.
Wait.
No, I'm sorry. It's the Daredevil movie.
There you go. I'm gonna say.
I'm sorry. It's not the Elektra movie. God, I can't believe the Elektra movie's on. I had to read the article a little bit more carefully.
Actually, I was kind of surprised about that too.
Right. So it's the Daredevil movie has been put on whatchamacallit, Disney Plus.
Will be. It's not there yet.
Oh, it's not? Oh.
Yeah, I think it's coming in next month, according to what is up. But yeah, and supposedly there's a tie to, well, Born Again 1, but also, according to this article, Deadpool and Wolverine, because I guess Jennifer Gardner is going to potentially, I guess, be in that movie or cameo in that movie.
Right.
Sort of. So, which that was news to me. So I guess, is what it is. But yeah, I was kind of surprised the Elektra movie was not the one put on there. But I guess it makes sense since that was a whole thing. That movie was not great, by the way. Neither one of them were. But anyway, as this article loads up, what is going on? Please load. Thank you very much.
Loading.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Sites loading.
Yeah. Von Gloom says he could draw feet before X-Force, and he drew them fine in New Mutants. I'll take your word for that, but I feel like if he could, he should still be able to when he did those. So I can't go along with you on that one.
I think the criticism was always fair because he did whatever he could to avoid drawing feet. That's really what it came to.
Exactly, because you've barely ever seen below the kneecaps.
Right.
From what I remember.
If the layouts allowed it, he would definitely avoid it. It got to the point where once it was pointed out, I could not stop seeing it.
Yep. Famke Johnson on possibly reprising X-Men role, quote, "You never know." So yeah, I guess they went to talk to her in relation to this Deadpool movie, I guess, or in relation to the X-Men standing MCU-wise anyway. She says, quote, "I don't know. I mean, I didn't expect to come back after dying as Jean Grey," which he clearly doesn't know the history of Jean Grey. No, stop. Saying that. I came back as the Phoenix in The Last Stand, and I came back in flashback scenes in the Wolverine and then Days of Future Past, which all that checks out. And then it just goes into the other versions of Jean Grey that we saw, or the other version of Jean Grey that we saw. Also brings up a movie that apparently Famke Janssen is called Boy Kills World, which I just saw a trailer for, which has a Skarsgård in it, so get your bingo cards out for that. But also it seems John Wickish. I don't know if you've seen that trailer. Agent 70.
Say again?
Boy Kills World. Have you seen that trailer?
I have not.
Yeah, like I said, it stars a Skarsgård, and it seems kind of John Wickish.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look for it.
Yeah. Next up.
All righty. Ron Howard's Jim Henson Idea Man documentary has a release date on Disney Plus of May 31st. So the documentary covers all of the good and the bad of the true visionary's life.
Indeed. So yeah, I think people were looking forward to this from Ron Howard and this. So yeah, that's the thing. Shout out to Winnie Cooper.
No.
And I'm saying that for something Von Gloom said. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO in some very bad news. David Zaslav's 2023 compensation rises 26.5% to nearly $50 million. So destroying the company apparently gets you paid.
Yeah, apparently.
But yeah, so his pay package was worth 49.7, and it got upped, and now he's 50 million. That's a goddamn shame. Next up.
Alrighty. I definitely apologize to this actor because I don't know if I've ever heard his name pronounced.
Yeah.
Eddie Gathegi shows off a shredded physique for James Gunn's Superman role. So he's playing Mr. Terrific in the movie, and apparently he's gotten pretty jacked and pretty ripped. So good for him, but that's kind of, it's kind of de rigueur for these superhero movies.
Well, yes, but also I'm like, okay, I get it. Mr. Terrific is an Olympic caliber athlete, from what I remember. But like, I don't
Right,
know
but he
if
also
get
runs around in a leather jacket, so he doesn't get to show it off.
right, exactly. There you go.
He can absolutely get away with not working out, but I guess whenever they do the stuff out of uniform, he's got to look the part still.
He got to get cut. Sure, I guess so. Also, I guess so. They did him dirty in this article because I'm assuming this is the same dude they played what's his face in Darwin in X-Men First Class, who clearly got done dirty.
Oh, I do not recall that movie at all.
Well, I do, and it's a goddamn shame. But yeah, I think this is the dude that played Darwin, who met an untimely demise very early on, stupidly, in that movie. Hopefully Mr. Terrific isn't killed off in a bizarre way like Darwin. Thank you, Von Klum. You're right. Next up.
Yeah.
Star Trek may be returning to Rick Berman's era in one big way. In that way may be, or looks to be, they're returning to a pattern resembling the 1990s Star Trek franchise in that there'll be like a show and then followed by a movie or two, sounds like. I would hope they would try to get back to the whole 7-season things, because that's kind of bummy. That they haven't been. Looking at you, Discovery. Should have gotten 7 seasons, even though I haven't watched a bit of it or more than a couple of episodes. But then again, Enterprise didn't either. But Enterprise is, they're trying to work my way through that one. So yeah, it looks like they may be getting back to that, as opposed to even in addition to the stuff that we have talked about previously that they're doing with the franchise. Bangum says, "You're lucky, Agent 70, because it haunts my soul." Talking about First Class.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, listen, Fox did a lot to alienate themselves and their X-Men movies from me, a big X-Men fan. So,
next up.
All right, am I up to Star Trek Lower Decks?
Yes, you are.
Star Trek Lower Decks creator brings Golden Axe animated series to Comedy Central. Oh my goodness. So, so via Variety, Comedy Central has ordered a new comedy series based on Sega's Golden Axe video games. That's a deep pull, folks.
Pretty much.
That is a deep, deep pull. Holy cow.
Next thing you know,
I played Golden Axe in the arcade and like in the bodega that had a video game set up in them.
I was about to say, who didn't? And I forgot there's a whole swath of kids nowadays who don't even know what arcade is. Much less. But anyway, next thing you know, they'll probably be doing an Alter Beast show somewhere.
So,
I'm kind of surprised they didn't do a Afterburner one yet, based off of
that's called Top Gun Maverick.
Well, I was going to mention that, but I meant in relation to that. So, but you're right. Apparently they already have a voice cast for the series, and I don't know how to feel about that, but I'll probably check it out. But it's on Comedy Central, which I didn't even know it's still a thing. Rise from your grave. There you go, Von Gloom. You know. Avengers directors compare Millie Bobby Brown to Tom Holland as they tease her, quote, fantastic performance in new graphic novel adaptation, which unites them with the Endgame team. Apparently, the Russo brothers did a movie called, what is this? The Electric State, that is coming out on Netflix later this year, and I'm guessing Millie Bobby Brown is the star of this. Yes, this article does say that fact. It's according to this article, I guess, through the Russos, say delivers a performance which the filmmakers tease is something rather special. They talked And again, there was a comparison to Tom Holland, which you can read the quote for yourself. Next up.
So an incredible, quote unquote, Mark Hamill cult classic lands on 4K Blu-ray this summer. So this is The Guyver 4K Blu-ray, and you can pre-order it over at Amazon. I kind of remember this. I did not realize that this was a Mark Hamill thing. This is from 1991.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, whether you would want to get this on Blu-ray or not, that's, it's from what I understand, it has a cult following. I don't remember it being that especially good.
Right.
So, and yes, Mark Hamill, before voicing the Joker, but well after well after his run of Star Wars.
Is this an anime adaptation or manga?
They did have an animated version of the Guyver. I think this was. I don't think originally. It might have been actually. It might have been a comic book or something.
Right, and they made a live action. This is the live action in 91.
Right. David Hayter's time to shine as the Guyver. Man, he need to go back to Solid Snake. Mark Hamill was a detective that got turned into a Zoidnoid. Yeah, that was the crux of the Guyver, where he gets some alien suit that he's running around in. So, yeah. Like I said, I remember seeing it, but I don't remember it being very good. Anyway, Clue film TV adaptations in the works under new deal between Hasbro and Sony. I am a very big fan of the Clue movie, and I would say that they didn't need to do this. I would have also said that about the two comic books that we got, but one of them was actually pretty good. So, but yeah, Hasbro Entertainment has closed a deal with Sony's TriStar Pictures and Sony Pictures Television for the film and TV rights for the beloved board game. Quote, Sony is the perfect partner to adapt a property as culturally impactful and mystery defining as Clue. Okay, that is definitely marketing press, but I love that movie. I have debated back and forth about getting the Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray of this, but yeah, I don't know. Next up.
So this is a very interesting article. I just had to fix the link on our sheet just now. I think Roddykat probably just saw it change because it was pasted. It was copied and pasted like twice. But apparently, some Amazon and Max cartoons may have been partially animated in North Korea under the watchful eyes of Kim Jong-un. Oh, the country allegedly got around U.S. sanctions by operating front companies in China. Wow.
Cheap labor, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently, wait, what's so... Searchers from the Washington-based 38 North project allegedly discovered a misconfigured cloud server on a North Korean IP address that contained thousands of animation files. Yada yada yada. Some Invincible might have been caught up in that whole thing, and something else that I don't know of. But hey, most people who know this program would know that. Apparently, Amazon has directed inquiries to Skybound because why would they take? Because why would they take the brunt of that? And yeah, so that's a whole thing, folks. Apparently the Guyver was a manga, then an anime, then a movie. Apparently Jimmy J.J. Walker was also in the Guyver as a Zoanoid. It's not Clue without Tim Curry, I agree. So Kim and Dennis watched the latest episodes before us. I'm not getting that one, so you have to forgive me for that. Next up, we are getting...
No, it might be a Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay. I'm sorry, wait. Come on. There we go. Next up.
As you.
Avatar: The Last Bender movie hit with major delay. So yeah, I guess the Fire Nation must have attacked Kim Jong-un. Got it. Got it. Who was right? However, according to new reports, the first Avatar movie has been hit with a major delay. Instead of launching in 2025, Avatar: The Last Airbender will bring out its movie in 2026. It doesn't quite say what the delay was, but I guess this is headlines coming out of CinemaCon, which we're still getting news out of. Not long ago, the team behind Avatar: The Last Airbender announced the first movie film would be released in January 2026. Will be released, excuse me, not would be, but because it was originally slated for October 2025, and apparently it looks like we don't know that much outside of that. We don't know why it's being delayed. Next up.
All right, we're into the anime corner.
Yep. Nice.
Sometimes you play the ones that you haven't really heard that often on the show. So
for sure.
So apparently, two long-standing shonen series, Naruto and Bleach, once faced cancellation in 2011 because of the earthquake and tsunami that rocked Japan. Wow.
Some would argue.
So this comes from, right, I was going to say, this comes from Natalie, as the publication spoke with PRO president Michiyuki Honma. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, some would argue that what probably should have been canceled before then for other reasons. Hey, I love me some Bleach. Naruto, I still hadn't gotten through. I need to finish it. Also Bleach, so that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, that was, I saw that, I was like, okay, that was interesting, and I'm sure fans were like, yay.
But 2011, obviously, not thinking back to the year 2011 and all of the stuff that was going on in Japan at that time, that's it's understandable.
Yes, indeed, and this article mentions the earthquake and the tsunami and such. So yeah. Okay, we kind of talked a little bit about this being teased last week, but Mobile Fighter G Gundam spinoff has been announced. I guess officially. So the update comes from the Gundam team directly as the anime's official site posted a poster for the spinoff. According to this article, it turns out that G Gundam is set to welcome a sequel of sorts that details what happened once G Gundam ended. It sounds like it's going to start off as a manga and then probably be right for or right set for an anime adaptation as well, which I'm sure I know, as I said last week or whenever, there are fans of G Gundam out there. So that joint was slightly amazing in one way and bizarre in another. That's all I'll say. Next up.
Haikyuu: The Dumpster Battle. Crunchyroll reveals an English subtitle trailer for the sports anime film based on the Shonen Jump manga series. Yes, I watched it. I mean, I'd seen it before, but it was nice to see with the subtitles. And the movie, of course, is slated to release in North America on May 31st. I really hope my own personal calendar allows me to watch this opening night, because that will be a movie protocol for me.
Indeed. Agent 7 has had his finger on the button since he saw this, because you could see it in his face. You could just see it in his face. Matter of fact, sir, take the next one.
All right, let's see what this next one is. No way. One of the biggest sports anime in recent memory is now on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Yep. It is now.
Wow, that makes so much sense. That's so funny. I gotta text my buddy Malcolm that it's on Netflix also. Yeah. Wow. So
not that
is
big of a
all of it
surprise.
on Netflix?
I don't know. I did not check myself to see. I suspect it should be though.
Yeah, so Haikyuu is on Netflix apparently. So now I am going to pull this up and take a look and see exactly how much of the anime is on Netflix. That's a great move.
Hmm.
You know, moving it to Netflix, which, you know, like it or not, despite all of the price hikes, is still the streaming service that most people have.
Right. That and the fact that they've been heavy on anime for the last couple of years because of because of it being big. And it's not, yeah, I guess it's not that big of a surprise because like a lot of the big popular stuff is on Netflix anyway. So
Oh, it is.
yeah. I don't
It
I
is.
wouldn't.
Holy
Is it
cow.
all of it?
Let's see here. So that's the first season. Oh, they have them broken up into the
Seasons.
movies
Yeah.
and
Excuse me.
whatchamacallit, and episodes. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's the entire thing.
Mhm. Probably the
It's
first
not
couple.
all of, right, exactly. It's like the first couple of movies, and because I think what it is that it's a compilation.
Hmm.
They try to put together basically the first 3 seasons into what they have on the show.
Hmm. But probably.
Oh, what they have what they have on Netflix, that is.
Oh, actually, it even says at the bottom of this article. Yeah, Surface Article's first season of several movies, but with 4 seasons out in production IG in the middle of producing a movie duology to conclude its adaptations. Newcomers will likely get to see more Haikyuu in the future, which was what I was about to say anyway. That if that's on there, they're just probably parsing it out, so the rest will be on there at some point.
Right. But listen, it's good to see, like I said, on Netflix, because like it or not, that is the streaming service that most people still have. That's the one that people hold on to.
Sure. There's some sad truth to that. Yes,
Yeah.
G Gundam seems to be back, and will Black Brother Schwartzbroder return in the G Gundam sequel? I don't remember that much of G Gundam to know if that's the case, but I don't know. Oh, find out when that happens. Now we're going to go over into the manga corner.
Form.
Nope. There we go.
Man, I wasn't mad at that first one, but yeah, sure. I understand.
I know.
Ride the wave, sir. Ride the wave. Dragon Ball staff has unveiled a nearly 20-year-old Akira Toriyama illustration of Gotenks, the fusion of Goten and Trunks, with his mischievous smile and fun color scheme pointed out as the highlight of the artwork. Side note, which has nothing to do with Dragon Ball, but kind of does. I just watched the episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender that let's just say may have been inspired by a certain fusion thing that Dragon Ball has set out. So yeah. Let's see which was a great episode also. Let's see. The official Dragon Ball site released the images of Gotenks, as I'm about to show on the video version, as a part of its long-running Toriyama archives, the weekly showcase of rare Toriyama art that's made available for a 24-hour window only. The illustration comes from Jump Comics Dragon Ball Complete Edition, volume number 32, first released on March 4th, 2004. And here is the artwork in question. Fusion Ha.
Yeah.
Next up.
I just double checked. The Haikyuu on Netflix is Japanese with English subtitles.
That's how we do around here.
Yep. So you can prepare for monster attacks with a Kaiju number 8 officially licensed anime disaster kit. Okay. So wow, with the backpack and everything. Wow.
Got your bug out bag.
How much? Yeah, it's basically a bug out bag. So it's available from the Show Pro Mall website for 15,400 yen. Folks out there can do the conversion, see if they ship it to the United States.
Or chances are the more rabid will probably just go to an importer.
Yeah.
Or an exporter rather.
Wow, it
But,
comes with a 3-piece portable toilet. Wow.
and a lantern and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it is truly set.
Wow.
for
Yeah,
hanging
this is
out.
hardcore.
Yeah. 16-piece kit. Yeah, like I said, it's there. So I mean, hey, that's kind of actually cool. Like, yeah, you can call it, merch, but also functional. Actually functional.
Right.
And again, as a well, you're not privy to our before the show stuff. Neither Agent F78 or I have watched Kaiju number 8 just yet, but probably will at some point.
Yeah. But
Yes.
listen, folks, lifes, but that is definitely one of those, because it's a new release. It's still early on. It's the prime time to just jump on it now.
Yeah.
Unless we're looking to binge, right? Which happens, right? There's times when we'll wait for like an entire season to come out, and then we'll just sit and watch it when we can.
Yeah. But hey, sometimes I will let a couple of episodes go before I watch it anyway. So, anyway, now we're getting into some comic book news.
My apologies, folks. Comic book news coming up right now.
Oh, that's definitely going to be appropriate for later on. Thank you. So a little editorial shuffle this week as Kristen Simon has joined Mad Cave as senior editor. Apparently, Simon was one of the layoffs from IDW, so they found work fairly quickly. And actually, I just remembered another piece of news I probably should have put close to here, but that's right. Meanwhile, back at IDW, Cassandra Jones has joined the company in editorial, according to a tweet. And it looks like there are some other comings and goings, including Kevin Hamrick, who was formerly who was at Viz, but is now no longer with Viz because his position has been eliminated. I'm sure you will probably land somewhere. Next up.
So Todd McFarlane added another title to the line of Spawn books with a comedy book called Spawn Kills Every Spawn, #1 by John Layman and Rob Sketchcraft Duenas. It's going to be priced only at $2.99, which is pretty cool. And it is in the July 2024 solicits.
Which, by the way, are out. And if you go to our show notes, you can not nets. You can see solicits from various places, including the big two.
Right. And apparently every Spawn book that's out in July is going to be $2.99. That's actually a pretty good move on their part.
Yeah, remember that price, man.
Yeah.
Also, isn't that whole killing of spawns a kind of a thing going on now? I mean, I know you're not really privy because you're reading something that's now adjacent to it, but
Right. I mean, listen, ultimately, there are going to be so many twists and turns in the Spawn universe, so
right. There are a lot of Spawn books out, including apparently one that just came out that have to do with side characters. So that's a lot. Anyway,
right.
Good news. The Hunger in the Desk returns for a second volume, which we kind of already knew this, but it is confirmed with a second miniseries starting just July. According to this press release, declared the best fantasy comic around by AIPT. IDW Publishing is proud to announce the return of Hugo Award-winning writer G. Willow Wilson and all-star artist Chris Wild Goose's acclaimed high fantasy adventure series with The Hunger in the Desk Book 2. So that's great because I like that book. That book is cool. They're going to collect the first book, which is the first arc, on June 11th, and book 2 will go. The debut issue of book 2 will go on sale July 10th, 2024, and FOC is June 3rd. So get those orders in, folks. Next up,
Brian K. Vaughan confirmed that Saga is coming back with the 67th issue of the comic book series in this July.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go through all the fluff in the story. I'm like, all right, so we find out when Saga's coming back.
I mean, yeah, there's really not much else to say and plus, neither one of you have read that book, so what could we say about it?
Right.
So yeah, that book's still got a heartbeat apparently. Riverdale High plays Truth or Dare with a horror twist in new comic special, which I believe came out this week actually. Yes, Truth or Dare will have the Riverdale gang torn up from within as a new student with old ties to Archie Comics lore aims to dismantle the high school hierarchy of Riverdale. According to this article, Truth or Dare is a smart, sexy, and beautiful homage to teen psychological thrillers, serving early 2005 while being firmly modern and set in the present day, according to someone from Archie Comics editorial, apparently. So, all right, cool. Next up.
Alrighty, Backflash is a comic that blends time travel and nostalgia, and it's being published under the Burger Books imprint over at Dark Horse Comics. So this is the imprint that's helmed by former Vertigo executive editor Karen Berger. Okay. Backflash is created by writer Matt Johnson and artist Steve Lieber. Okay.
Yes.
With colorist Lee Luffridge and letterer Clem Robbins. Okay.
There you go. And that's Berger, not the hamburger. Which
I'm hungry now, damn it.
I am too. And funny enough, I actually have a
second he said it, the second Roddykat said it, reminded me that I'm hungry.
And I am also, and funny enough, I have a burger waiting for me as soon as we finish.
Oh my gracious.
So that worked out.
Next I do not, and I maybe will have one tomorrow. Maybe after volleyball. We'll see.
I was about to say, yeah, but well, I was about to say, if you wanted to, you're in a place which you could probably get a good late night burger, which, you know, I'm saying why you probably.
I'd have to do a little bit of trekking or hitting up DoorDash or something.
Right. Also not a sponsor and definitely definitely a source that has been used a couple of times, sadly. Free agents, #1 teams Kurt Busiek, Fabian Nicieza, and I hope I'm saying that right. And Stephen Mooney. Okay. Yeah, I've always, I was never really sure about how that name was pronounced. But yes, Image Comics has revealed a new ongoing series that's titled Free Agents and set to debut in July from the aforementioned folks, as well as Triona Farrell. The first issue drops into comic shops on July 3rd, lettered by Tyler Smith. Quote, it's a superhero series with a twist. Busiek says the agents were done, they were retired, and started building new lives, going back to college, making themselves a place here on Earth. And then it all starts coming back. So basically they pulled out, they were out and got pulled back in. Sounds like. And then it goes on from there, which I won't go into, but yeah, sure. Oh wait, I'm gonna read this real quick. Free Agents introduces the readers to a team of young veterans, survivors of a massive interdimensional war. Salvo, Pike, Katari, Shakti, not that Shakti, Ridge, Morand, and Chalice. They fought every day of their existence and won a terrible victory. Now they're stranded on Earth, free agents for the time being. But when relics from their long war appear, threatening their chance at a better life, their greatest battle begins. They fought for a million planets. Can they fight to save their own souls? And that is the premise. Next up.
Dynamite Entertainment, continuing in our July solicit news, is set to publish a Thundercat spin-off series spotlighting the character of Chitara, written by Sue Lee with art by Domenico Carbone. I believe it's art by Domenico Carbone, or is this a co-writing thing? Yeah, it looks like there's art by Domenico Carbone. Cool. Yeah. It's good to see Chitara getting some shine.
Yeah. And not just from the book, because that last issue had her in a good way. And there's some, of course, preview pages here. So yeah, I feel like Chitara's probably, especially if you're of a certain vintage, folks' favorite for probably possible obvious reasons, but
yeah, right,
reasons nonetheless. Next up though, new Flash Gordon series resurrects iconic, well, according to Screen Rant, so you know how that goes. Hero for 2024. Mad Cave Studios is doing this. Yeah, let's see. The new series will feature familiar characters, including Dale Arden, and I know the youngsters will be like, "Who?"
Yeah.
So, yeah, Flash Gordon is back. Of course, this week we saw a Dick Tracy book. So, thank also by Mad Cave. I'm still waiting for the Gotcha Man one. So, bring that shit on. And the Space Ghost one too also, which might be a different company. That's something that's Dynamite. Either way, so yeah, Flash Gordon's back. Next up.
So the writer James Robinson debuts his new horror series Patra with artist Scott Collins at Dark Horse Comics. Patra begins in August 2024, and it blends slasher elements with a mysterious protagonist. Okay.
Will they be on a romantic call? Who knows?
Oh no.
Probably y'all will get that reference. Frank Miller presents Frank Miller presents moves to Abrams Comic Arts as Dan DiDio moves on. So apparently, according to this BC article, Frank Miller's imprint was set up with Dan DiDio and crypto money. I don't know why I guess there's a reason why they chose to bring that up. But Hollywood Reporter reports that the imprint is going to be moving to Abrams Comics Art. That's really, and also a couple of books that are going to be out after that happens, I guess, including Sin City stuff, of course. Next up.
Wow. So spoilers for the Batman Mother's Day story in Batman the Brave and the Bold number 12. So apparently, something we all kind of thought was going to happen years ago finally happened.
Okay.
I think so, because I remember when this character appeared in Gotham Academy.
Right, but I don't.
And we all sort of speculated that this character may have a future in this particular role, or at least I did.
Well, see, I never really read it.
Back to the archives,
right?
I feel like we need to go into the show archives to talk about this. I'm like, oh, I kind of remember this. So apparently, spoiler alert, for Batman the Brave and the Bold number 12, Batman has taken on a new Robin in the form of Maps from Gotham Academy. I want to get her last name correct. It is Mizoguchi.
Mm-hmm. Which, if I'm not mistaken, is a fan favorite character.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember her. I mean, I have not been keeping up with Maps and obviously not a lot of the Bat stuff, but it's interesting that they're bringing her in as a Robin.
So I can say, because a version of Maps has been in Birds of Prey, the current Birds of Prey book. So Maps has definitely been around. And that Batman Brave and Bold issue that we are speaking of, by the way, came out this week. So
got it.
You can check that out as you feel. But yeah, I know people really like Maps, and I never did finish that Gotham Academy book outside of the first issue. So, but yeah.
There's a future version of her running around in Birds of Prey.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I just said that's her.
Oh no! I mean, I was just reading it, I was just kind of like, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Next up, though, DC's ongoing The Penguin comic is no longer ongoing. It is ending this July. So yeah, I guess her solicitations, the Penguin series is going to be ending with July 24th, number 12, giving it a nice number 4 trades, I guess. Don't know what was in that book, but okay. Next up.
Gail Simone and Rainbow Rowell are the next Superman superstars to work on Action Comics in 2024. So Gail Simone is returning to Superman for the next arc of Action Comics. The writers teaming up with artist Eddie Barrows. Let's see here. Keep going. So where does Rainbow Rowell come in? All right, so Rainbow Rowell and artist CN Torme will be telling a backup story in the book about Lois Lane. Okay.
Hmm. Yes. That House of Brainiac stuff just started also, and I was slightly curious about it, but no idea what's going on in parts of the DC universe. Anyway, a universe needs fixing in the Ultimates comic book trailer, which still trips me out that there are trailers for comic books. I'm going to continue to say that. You can't stop me.
Sure.
Ultimate #1 is written by Dennis Camp, of course, and it's going to be on sale June 5th. I am looking forward to checking that out. I have not watched this trailer. So, and I may or may not, because I'm going to read the book regardless. So, next up,
So I think this is spoilers for last week's
I believe so.
Ghost Rider Final Vengeance #2. And it revealed in that issue how the Hood became the new Spirit of Vengeance. I haven't gotten around to it.
Same, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm very curious about. Or I am not saying it's very, but I am quite curious about. Next up, though, this Wolverine comic keeps selling out, and that's before Hugh Jackman's return in Deadpool and Wolverine. The book in question is Claremont and Frank Miller's Wolverine, which was originally published in the miniseries specifically. I guess the first one, I assume, 4-issue Wolverine series was originally published in 1982. And according to this article, was Marvel's first real attempts at collecting its comic book into a book format for resale, with the first printing coming in 1987 and being steadily reprinted for nearly 40 years. So, okay. Sure, get them all out there. Is it on Marvel Unlimited?
Wait, hold on. Which issue is this?
This is the Wolverine miniseries from '82.
Oh, of course.
Claremont and Miller, or Frank Miller.
Yeah, of course. That is always going to be popular. I did not buy that when it came out. It was a little it was a little bit before my time. But sure. Because it was '82. And I was just a little too young to buy something like that. All 4 issues. I got it as a back issue when I was in, I want to say college or grad school, because I bought them off eBay.
Right.
Pristine copies.
Of course. I did not know it was steadily reprinted as it is, as this article is saying it is. So that's interesting. But anyway, next up.
Yeah, I'm definitely fortunate to have acquired mine before the prices went ridiculous.
Yeah. So
Marvel hopes to launch one new X-Men series every single month starting July 2024, because of course they are.
Well, yeah, but specifically for actually, this is why another reason why I asked you if you were reading Brevert's newsletter.
Got it. Yeah, because he's the new editor of the X line.
Right, and he mentioned that then, or in this week's newsletter, which is why they're mentioning it here, I guess.
Right, and listen, you gotta trust in the T-Vort. He's gonna have a master plan, and it's good to have a little bit of new, a fresh perspective in the X corner of the Marvel universe.
Right, and one has had one would argue a storied history with Marvel, so editing wise. So
yep.
Next up, which might have something to do with the image that your folks on the video version have just seen, Scott Koblish does it again with epic X-Men wraparound cover. You can check out their first half of the connecting cover that's going to run across 4 titles. That's X-Men 35, Legacy 700, X-Men #1, Uncanny X-Men #1, and Exceptional X-Men #1. Which, by the way, I'll just go ahead and put this out of the way. If you go to the variant cover, you can see some more variant covers of X-Men #1 in the variant cover corner of the show notes sheet. But this particular one, once again, I love these kind of covers where there's just like, let's just throw every character in existence, or some semblance of on a page, and there you have this. So yeah, and see how many you can spot. Because there's a lot of them on here.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Back cover.
Oh, look, there's Nanny. I see Nanny. There's Adversary.
Yeah, the cover is a little bit all over the place for me.
For Adaptoid? I figured I always associate Super Adaptoid more with Avengers.
Yeah, but this is like that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean by saying it's a little all over the place for me.
Oh wait,
You know, it's kind of tough. Like it's times like this, and I don't know. Do you have the variant covers for the Marvel DC trades that are coming out that Jim Lee just posted?
I mean, we had talked about those previously, so I think
No,
I
but
showed
Jim
them
Lee
again.
did variant covers for them.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying we talked about that previously because he had showed some art for those.
Right. So he put them out, and it's times like this when I look at these group covers, and when I see them, I miss George Perez more.
Hmm.
You know,
Hang on,
because there was an art. You know, there's definitely a science to what he did, like in terms of layouts. And I look at this, and I'm like, okay, you know.
I'm taking some slight because I'm
I'm throwing a little shade. You
Right.
know, I like the idea of it. I just, you know, the layout doesn't do anything for me.
Well, my issue is the fact that some of the people that are on here that I get it. They probably cameoed at some point. Like Spidey's on here. The Fantastic Four is on here. Cap's on here. Like, wait, they're not like, no, take them off of there.
Right.
Like keep it to if you're gonna do an X-Men spread like this, just keep it to the corner.
Right. I mean, there's, you know, you see lots of Avengers, you see lots of, you know, other characters. But obviously, you know, some of these characters, you know, played a big role in X-Men stories.
Sure.
You know, I mean, you get Armored Thor. What is Armored Thor doing in this?
Exactly. There's Ship. Hey, they put Ship in here. That's funny.
Yeah.
Like Ship deserves it. That's fine. But oh, they even got the Mojo kids. Huh. The Mojo X kids. Swamp Thing?
Yeah. Look. Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman is in there on the far right.
Oh, Jessica Drew Spider-Woman is in here. But to be fair, she was, you know, she spent a little bit of time. Well, I guess given that whole Rogue thing and Carol Danvers thing that early on, so sure.
I mean, Power Man and Iron Fist are right underneath Magneto's feet.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know if those are just Easter eggs, to be honest. You know. So I don't know.
Some of these don't make sense either way.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, it's times like this when I see something like this, I admire the work and the technical and the craftsmanship that this requires.
Totally.
But it makes me miss George Perez more.
Right. Wolves. Anyway, yeah. So there you go. Bask in it, I guess. Next up, G.I. Joe. Oh, speaking of, I don't know if Von Gloom is still in the chat, but G.I. Joe hints at the official debut of, well, this is slightly not true, but Lady J was on a variant cover for the Energon Universe Special 2024 that's coming out soon. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's an official debut or anything. It's just that they were on a variant cover. Screen Rant do better. Also love, again, Screen Rant. Lady J specializes in covert ops, which is true, kinda. While Flint is known as, quote, the backbone of G.I. Joe. That is no. Anyway, May 8th, Energon Universe Special 2024 #1 will feature stories from top creative teams and will release on May 8th. So coming soon, folks. And yes, we will be talking about it.
Oh,
next up.
All right. McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, the Joker and Punchline 2-pack. The pre-order for this has already come on April 23rd. If you're a big Joker and Punchline fan, you may want to pick these figures up. They don't do anything for me, but hey, they might for you.
Yeah, why give the Joker another girlfriend and probably younger, which I don't know. There's a whole other thing to that That makes no sense. Regardless, at first I thought you had skipped over something, but I realized that was something I had done. Which is probably just as well because I know you wouldn't have wanted this one. We reveal Animal Companions cards, or this is from Nerdist, from Disney Lore Canada's next set. The next set of Disney Lore Canada is called Ursula's Return, and we'll have Animal Companions, as I just said. There are 5 cards that are revealed in this article, including Raja Khan, TikTok, Kriki, and Jack. So, if you know who those characters, Disney characters are, good on you. I know a couple of them. Yeah, next up.
Alrighty. Disney's Dreamlight Valley reveals Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Okay. So Disney Dreamlight Valley fans for the last several months have been trying to figure out which character will be coming to the game next as part of a Rift in Time. So this is paid DLC featuring exclusive villagers, including Eve and Gaston. Okay.
Oh, that reminds me of something that also came out this week that I was going to talk about, or at least not talk about, but mention. I have to find, and it's Disney related, is why I say that. But I'll find it in a second. But yeah, for those that don't know, Disney Dreamlight
there's
Valley
spillover news. Oh man,
there
okay.
is. Don't worry about it; it'll go fast because all of it's kind of
Okay.
You'll know when you get there why it's all together. Well, some of it was from last week anyway. Hold on. Here we go. So Zenoscope, and the video folks are watching, or anybody watching the video version will see this. Can see this variant cover for Pooh versus Bambi by Zenoscope that came out this week. Yes, Winnie the Pooh, because it's in public domain. And I believe, and you can see Winnie the Pooh here with a gun, all kind of human-like. And yeah, that was a whole thing. Anyway, that's the thing. Moving right along. I thought that was funny. I just had to share that real quick. And of course, Zenoscope is up to their old usual thing with other variant covers for that thing that has nothing to do with Pooh or Bambi. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is coming to Game Pass, Ultimate, and EA Play on April 25th, which means it is out there as we speak. So if you didn't get a chance to play Star Wars Jedi Survival and you have Game Pass, go for it. Next up.
All right, so this is a die-cast vehicle, not a transformer, but you can get 1:24 scale die-cast vehicles of Ghostbusters and Transformers mashups. So you get the Ecto-1 and Optimus Prime painted in Ghostbusters white and red.
Yeah, this is what I was alluding to last week when I said there was an Optimus. I think we talked about the Ecto. No, we talked about a different thing, but this is what I was alluding to when I said they made Optimus Prime, but not transformable.
Right.
Ooh. Anyway, but hey, if you want this, you can get it. All right, and as you have just heard, we're getting into some Transformers news, so buckle up, folks. Hasbro reveals Transformers 1 inspired Optimus Prime action figure. There was a figure we talked about last week that I thought was this, but it was not. But it's still along those lines. So this is for the Studio Series, and this is the again from the Transformers 1 animated movie that is coming out at some point. So yeah, I think the fan stream that we are going to talk about in a little bit also had this figure on decky. Next up.
Okay. So Hasbro unveils Takara Tomy Masterpiece MPG-09 Super Jinrai, an authentic G1 inspired Transformers figure. So this is kind of like Optimus?
No, it is Optimus. It's just a Japanese Optimus.
Japanese Optimus.
Yes.
Okay. So priced at $279.99 with a March 2025 release. Pre-orders are available now on Hasbro Pulse.
who, if you've ever watched the Japanese Transformers, I believe they killed them off, brought them back and killed them off again, and let them stay dead. Unlike this is unlike here.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah. I believe that's the case. M37 Giant Axe Broadside Triple Changer prototype images from Mechanic Toy Studios. So yeah, I guess there's a triple changer prototype that's in the works that looks like it could go well in the G.I. Joe universe, because it looks like if this prototype is to be believed, turns into an aircraft carrier and a big plane, as well as robot form. So, and there's a picture that is sized up against an Optimus for reference. So there you go. Will we see it? Will it see the light of day? Who knows? Next up.
So, for anyone who never got a Jetfire the first time around, you can still try to get one now. So, there are a couple of re-releases here that have been announced. So you get this is based on one of them is based on a Netflix anime series, and well, you get the shattered look at Optimus, at Autobot leader Optimus Prime, and you get the that's the Shattered Glass version and the War for Cybertron's version of Jetfire. And apparently that's a very popular version of the figure.
Yes, because it's because it's the one that's kind of like the Macross jet thing from the same thing, and that showed up in G1, of course.
Right.
So yes, I kind of want this. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. That's pretty cool. And you get a Ratchet also.
Yes, I had a Ratchet. Oh, that's the Shattered Glass Ratchet, actually. Yes. I remember Ratchet was one of the ones I actually had. The only Shattered Glass figure I have is the Soundwave, because of course. But yes, there's a Shattered Glass Optimus there. There's the Ratchet also. I'm going through the figures for the video version, and of course there's the Jetfire, which I never had Jetfire. I kind of want it. So
yeah, same. I'm just like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And they mentioned the Macross Robotech connection in this also. Which, by the way, Clickbait session. There's a story about Jim Lee's Wildstorm's Robotech series in there if you're interested in that, which might have me go hunting for those issues. Anyway, keep this train rolling. We get to the big news from today that Agent 70 was talking about before the show. I'm going to get the small stuff first. So yeah, Hasbro had their Transformers fan stream today, as if we were recording before we recorded, and they announced some new figures in the Studio and Voyager lines. So there was a Grimlock, Swoop that I remember. There's a couple of them there that I did not know from a couple of places. Vector Prime, Nucleus, Hot Shot, Cyber. I don't know none of these ones, but the big one was the one we talked about last week that was coming, and we kind of figured it was the case. Was going to be the case is the Transformers Robosyn collaboration, aka the auto transforming Megatron figure, which, as we suspected, is a tank and not a gun, but it's still cool as hell.
P-38.
Yes, it does have the Frank Welker voice and saying a couple lines, and does cool poses. And if you're watching the video version, you can see the accoutrement that it comes with, and it is a whopping $900, as those things tend to be. Which the Prime was way more. Well, a version of the Prime was way more, but they did bring another version out that was slightly cheaper, but not by much. So yeah, it says here of course, like I just said, voiced by Frank Welker, the original Megatron, launches with over 270 lines of dialogue and an immersive library of interactive actions, along with incredible custom sequences for you to program. So yeah, if you didn't get a chance to check out the I guess the announcement or the fan stream, you should check it out. It's pretty cool. Like I said, it's tank, not a gun, but still cool. Still cool. Last but not least,
our last story Optimus Prime rolls out ALA library card sign-up month with Skybound and Hasbro. The American Library Association is teaming up with multi-platform company Skybound Entertainment and Hasbro to encourage people to roll out to their libraries with the Transformers franchise featuring Optimus Prime as part of library card sign-up month in September. So you can so it's part of a campaign. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So those of us who don't live in New York and was unlucky not to be able to get the Spider-Man cards, and you're a Transformers fan, hey, you got this to look forward to, because this seems to be a bigger rollout than that was.
Right. That was a New York Public Library thing.
Yep. So that was cool. I don't know how wide, well, quote unquote wide is going to be. You know, how what's going to be, but hopefully we'll find out a little bit more closer to September as to, you know, how they're going to do this.
All right.
You could just go in and, you know, just go in and hey, give me the Transformer card. Yeah, but that's it for the news, folks. I already mentioned the variant cover for the X-Men stuff, so I don't necessarily have to go back to that. I already mentioned solicits and everything and all that, and I also mentioned the clickbait section with some stuff that might be of interest to some folks, including that Robotech thing that I mentioned already. So with that, we're gonna hit up one last ad read.
All right, our last ad read of the night. Help us keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us and click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment. It helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Do it today.
Right, forgive me for breezing through the outro of this, but folks, as we said earlier in the show, next week's probably going to be a little bit different change, but I guess you may or may not have come to expect that to us by now. I think we will be recording on Saturday or Friday. Friday, yes.
Probably Friday. That's
Oops.
You know, life is lifing. Schedules change, so you know.
Right.
But yeah, Friday.
But hey, stay tuned to us for social medias, which are as follows. I have a Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNetNeed on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. And you can find us on the Coastal the Podcast Network, that's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal the Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts.
And of course, we do record every week. It might not always be on Thursday, but our normal time would be Thursdays, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/The Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you know when we are on broadcasting live.
Exactly, and with that, smash that like button so you can know when we're doing the thing. So, and we'll definitely call out on the Twitters. And with that, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Like dynamite before it blows. Who needs a band when the beat just goes boom?
And knowing is half the battle.
Peace. 1.